There's a verse that says, "The Lord is near to the brokenhearted." That means when your heart is hurting, He's not far away. He's not off somewhere distant, too busy managing the universe to care about you. No, He's right there beside you, listening to your tears, feeling your pain, and whispering, "I'm still here." You may not hear an audible voice, you may not see a physical sign, but that peace that suddenly comes over you when you're about to break down, that's Him. That strength that rises up inside you when you thought you couldn't take another step, that's Him too. Sometimes God allows us to walk through seasons of loneliness because He's trying to pull us closer to Him. We rely so much on people for comfort, on approval for validation, on relationships for happiness, but people can disappoint, they can walk away, they can forget. God, on the other hand, never will. He doesn't leave when the crowd disappears. He doesn't stop loving you when you make mistakes. He's not conditional. His love is constant. When everyone else fades away, His presence remains steady. Maybe you've been praying and it feels like your prayers are bouncing off the ceiling. You're wondering, "God, where are you? Why don't I feel you anymore?" But just because you can't feel Him doesn't mean He's not working. The teacher is often silent during the test, not because he's gone, but because He's watching you grow. When you can't see His hand, trust His heart. He knows what He's doing. He knows where you are. He knows what's coming next. The truth is, some of your deepest growth will come when you walk through your loneliest valleys. When there's nobody to lean on but God, that's when your faith roots go deep. That's when you stop chasing attention and start chasing peace. That's when you learn that God's presence is better than any crowd, His love is deeper than any relationship, and His plan is greater than your loneliness. You might think your loneliness is a sign of weakness, but it's not. It's an invitation. God is saying, "Come closer to me. Let me fill what others couldn't. Let me heal what they broke. Let me show you that my presence is enough." When you stop resisting the quiet and start resting in it, that's when you'll hear Him most clearly. Sometimes He removes distractions so you can finally hear His direction. Think about all the people in Scripture who felt alone. Joseph in the prison cell, Elijah hiding in the cave, David running from Saul, even Jesus praying alone in the garden. Each of them felt isolated, abandoned, misunderstood, but in their loneliness, God was doing His greatest work. He was preparing, positioning, and strengthening them for their next season. Your loneliness is not punishment, it's preparation. God is shaping you in silence so He can showcase you in purpose. You may feel alone, but you are never on your own. God's angels surround you even when you can't see them. His Spirit comforts you even when you can't sense it. His plans for you are unfolding even when you can't understand them. Every tear you cry is seen. Every prayer you whisper is heard. Every moment you endure in faith is written down in heaven. You have to remind yourself, God is with me. Say it until you believe it. God is with me when I wake up. God is with me when I walk through the valley. God is with me in the dark, in the silence, in the waiting. You are never walking alone, my friend. You are walking with the Creator of the universe. You are walking with the one who parts seas, calms storms, and heals hearts. When you understand that God is your companion, you stop feeling desperate for attention. You stop chasing what doesn't serve you. You stop begging people to stay because you realize the one who matters most has never left. He's been walking beside you all along, guiding you through the pain, guarding you from what you can't see, and growing you through what you didn't understand. So today, lift your head, wipe your tears. You are not forgotten. You are chosen, loved, and seen. That loneliness you feel is not a sign of God's absence. It's a reminder of His pursuit. He's calling you deeper, closer, higher. And when you start to depend on Him, you'll discover something powerful. You were never really alone in the first place. One day, you'll look back at this lonely season and realize it was never about isolation. It was about transformation. You'll see that God used your quiet nights to strengthen your faith, your empty spaces to fill your heart, and your tears to water your destiny. You'll say, "Now I understand, I wasn't alone. God was with me every step of the way." So when you feel alone, remember this. The same God who was with you in the past is still with you now. He's walking beside you in every struggle, fighting for you in every battle, and loving you through every storm. You don't have to see him to know he's there. You don't have to feel him to trust he's faithful. You just have to remember God has never left your side, and he never will. You are never truly alone. God's presence is always with you, even in silence. It's easy to forget that when life grows heavy and quiet, when the phone stops ringing, when friends drift away, when the room feels too big and the night feels too long, you start to believe that maybe no one cares, maybe even God has forgotten you. You whisper prayers into the darkness, but it feels like no one's listening. You wonder if your voice even reaches heaven. But let me tell you this truth from the depths of faith. God is with you, right now, right where you are. Even when you don't see him moving, even when you don't hear him speaking, he is there. His silence doesn't mean absence. It means he's working behind the scenes, arranging things you can't yet see. There are moments in life when God seems quiet, and that silence can be painful. You expect answers and all you hear is stillness, but think about it. When a teacher gives you a test, they don't talk while you're taking it. They know the lesson has already been given. In the same way, when you're in a season of silence, God is not ignoring you. He's trusting that what he's already placed inside you will carry you through. He knows you have the strength to endure. He knows you have the faith to keep going. You may not hear his voice, but his hand is still guiding your path. When you're walking through loneliness, it's easy to fill the void with distractions, people, noise, busyness, anything to avoid the quiet. But sometimes, God removes those distractions on purpose. He wants your heart's attention. He wants to draw you closer, to remind you that his presence is the only one that truly satisfies. There's a kind of peace that can't come from company, only from connection with him. When the world grows silent, that's your invitation to listen for his whisper, because God often speaks in ways that only a quiet soul can hear. You may say, but I don't feel him. Feelings aren't always truth. Feelings change with mood, with circumstance, with weather. But God's presence isn't based on feeling. It's based on promise. And he promised, I will never leave you nor forsake you. That's not conditional. It doesn't depend on how perfect your faith is or how well you're doing in life. His presence is steadfast, even in your doubts, even in your failures, even in your darkest moments. You may feel lost, but he's standing right beside you, guiding you home. Think back to the hardest times of your life. Somehow you made it through. Somehow strength showed up when you had none left. Somehow comfort arrived when you least expected it. That wasn't coincidence. That was God's presence sustaining you. The same presence that got you through then is carrying you now. Even when your heart feels empty, his spirit fills the space. When tears fall silently, he catches everyone. You might not hear his footsteps, but he walks with you through every valley. God's presence isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's a quiet reassurance that you're not walking through this world by yourself. It's the calm that comes when everything should be falling apart. It's that sudden peace in the middle of panic. It's the small reminder that your story isn't over yet. God is subtle but steady, silent but sure. You can't always trace his hand, but you can trust his heart. When you start to realize that you're never alone, something inside you changes. You stop feeling desperate for validation. You stop chasing people who are never meant to stay. You stop fearing solitude because you know solitude with God is sacred. You begin to find comfort in the quiet because you know that's where he meets you. You start to see the silence not as emptiness, but as a space filled with his presence. So the next time loneliness tries to convince you that you've been forgotten, speak back to it. Say, no, I am not alone. My God walks with me. Say it when you wake up in the morning. Say it when you sit in traffic. Say it when the tears fall at night. Remind yourself daily that you are accompanied by the one who never sleeps, never leaves, never forgets. God's presence doesn't come and go with emotion. It abides. It is the quiet strength beneath your fear, the light that never goes out even when everything else fades. He is the friend who stays when others leave, the peace that steadies when life shakes, and the love that holds when you feel unworthy. So don't let silence deceive you. You are not alone. You are surrounded by grace, protected by love, and carried by divine presence. The same God who was with you yesterday is with you today, and he'll be with you tomorrow. Even in the quiet, even in the stillness, even in the loneliness, He is there, closer than your breath, stronger than your pain, and more faithful than anyone you'll ever know. When people walk away, God remains constant and faithful. Life has a way of testing who truly stands with you. There are seasons when you discover that people you thought would always be there slowly fade out of your life. Friends grow distant, relationships end, family members misunderstand you, and you're left standing in the quiet wondering, what did I do wrong? You replay conversations in your head, trying to figure out where things changed. But sometimes it's not about what you did wrong, it's about what God is doing right. When certain people walk away, it's not rejection, it's redirection. God removes what's temporary so He can make room for what's lasting. And through it all, He never leaves. His faithfulness doesn't shift when others change. His love doesn't fade when people turn their backs. He's the one constant presence in a world full of uncertainty. It can be painful when people you trusted suddenly disappear. Maybe they promised to stay and you believed them. Maybe you gave your heart, your energy, your loyalty, and they still walked away. You feel empty, betrayed, even forgotten. But let me remind you, when others walk out, God steps in. He fills the space they left with His peace, His presence, and His promise that He will never forsake you. People may forget your worth, but God never does. He saw your tears when no one else cared. He heard the cries you didn't have the strength to say out loud, and He's been whispering to your heart, I'm still here. I haven't gone anywhere. The truth is, people can be unpredictable. Their emotions shift, their priorities change, and sometimes their season in your life simply ends. It doesn't mean they were bad. It just means their purpose was fulfilled. Some were meant to teach you, not travel with you. Some were meant to walk with you for a chapter, not the whole story. That's why you can't anchor your peace to people, because when they drift, your peace drifts with them. But if you anchor your peace to God, who is unchanging, nothing can shake you. His constancy becomes your calm. His faithfulness becomes your foundation. In life, everyone has to go through moments of separation. It's part of growth. God will sometimes isolate you to elevate you. He'll let people walk away so He can show you that you never needed them to fulfill His plan for your life. He'll prove that what you thought was a loss was actually a setup for something better. You might not see it now, but one day you'll look back and say, if they hadn't left, I would have never discovered what God had for me. The ending you feared became the beginning of something greater. When people leave, it hurts because it exposes how much we depended on them for validation. We look to others to make us feel seen, loved, and important, but God wants to shift that dependency. He wants to be the one who defines your worth, the one who assures your heart, the one who fills your emptiness. People can disappoint you, not because they're evil, but because they're human, but God doesn't fail. His love is not fragile. His loyalty doesn't have limits. He's not going to abandon you in your lowest moment or turn away when life gets hard. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. There's beauty in the moments when people walk away, because that's when you discover who God truly is. You see His faithfulness more clearly when everyone else fades. You feel His comfort when no one else shows up. You realize He was the steady presence in all your storms. When you look back at the times you thought you couldn't make it, you'll see His fingerprints all over your survival. He carried you when you were too weak to stand. He held your heart when it was breaking. He opened new doors when old ones closed. Maybe right now you're in a season of loss. You've lost friends, relationships, opportunities. It feels lonely, and you're tempted to think something's wrong with you, but maybe nothing's wrong at all. Maybe God is simply rearranging your circle to fit your calling. He's removing what no longer fits the version of you He's building. It's not personal, it's purposeful. When people walk away, it's God saying, you don't need them for where I'm taking you. So, don't chase those who left. Don't beg people to stay who have already made up their minds to go. Instead, thank God for His faithfulness. Thank Him for loving you consistently when others couldn't. Thank Him for being your anchor in the storm, your comfort in the loss, your stability in the change. Because while people may leave, His promises remain. While doors may close, His plan still stands. You may not understand it right now, but you will. Every good bye is making space for a greater hello. Every loss is clearing the path for a divine gain. God's faithfulness is writing a story far better than the one you would have written yourself. So hold your head high, let go of who left, and rest in the truth that when people walk away, God stays, unchanging, unshakable, and forever faithful. Your pain, prayers, and tears are never unseen. God is working behind the scenes for your good. There are moments in life when it feels like no one notices what you're going through. You smile in front of others, but deep down, you're fighting silent battles that no one knows about. You cry at night, praying for answers, for relief, for strength, but the situation doesn't seem to change. You start to wonder if your prayers are even being heard. It feels like heaven is quiet and your pain is invisible, but let me remind you, nothing you go through escapes God's attention. He sees every tear, hears every whisper, and knows every burden that weighs on your heart. Just because you don't see immediate results doesn't mean God isn't moving. He's working behind the scenes in ways you can't yet understand. Sometimes God's greatest work happens in silence. When you don't feel Him, that's when He's most active. You might not realize it now, but the delay you're facing isn't denial, it's divine timing. God is arranging pieces, opening doors, and preparing hearts to align perfectly with your purpose. What feels like a pause is really a process. You can't always trace His hand, but you can always trust His heart. The same God who spoke galaxies into existence is carefully orchestrating the details of your life. He doesn't overlook your pain, He transforms it into purpose. Think about how many times in your life you thought things were falling apart, but later you realized they were actually falling into place. That heartbreak led you to strength. That disappointment pushed you toward growth. That closed door redirected you towards something better. God was there in every moment, even when you couldn't see Him. He was planting seeds in the dark, seeds of healing, faith, and new beginnings. And when the time is right, those seeds will bloom. Your tears are not wasted. Every one of them waters something God is growing inside you. Every night you spent crying, He was there, comforting you in ways you couldn't feel. Every prayer you thought went unanswered was actually stored, waiting for the perfect moment to be released. God doesn't forget the prayers you prayed in pain. He's not ignoring you. He's preparing something bigger than what you asked for. The waiting may be hard, but it's not empty. There's a reason, a purpose, a plan unfolding beyond your understanding. There's a beauty in trusting God when you don't have all the answers. It takes faith to say, God, I don't see it, but I know you're working. It takes strength to keep praying when nothing changes. It takes courage to keep believing when all you feel is disappointment. But every time you choose faith over fear, heaven moves on your behalf. Every time you keep going despite the pain, you grow stronger. God notices your endurance. He honors your persistence. He blesses your trust. You might not realize it now, but the struggle you're facing is shaping you for something greater. The pain that feels unbearable today will become the testimony that strengthens others tomorrow. God never wastes suffering. He turns your breaking point into your breakthrough. He takes what was meant to harm you and uses it to lift you higher. He's a God of redemption, a God who restores, a God who turns tears into triumph. So when it feels like nothing's happening, remember, something is. Heaven is working while you're waiting. God is building what you've been praying for. You just can't see the full picture yet. Just because you can't see the light doesn't mean the sun isn't rising. It's just beyond the horizon. And soon it will shine again. You may be walking through a season of pain, but it's not permanent. God is writing a better ending for your story. You may be praying and not seeing change, but the answer is on its way. You may be crying now, but joy will return. What you're facing right now isn't how it ends. It's how God prepares you for the next chapter. And when that breakthrough comes, when the waiting ends, when your tears turn into laughter, you'll understand why it took so long. You'll see how God used every sleepless night, every unanswered prayer, every heartbreak to build something beautiful. You'll look back and realize He was never late. He was right on time, so hold on. Keep praying, keep believing, even when it's hard, even when it hurts. God sees you. He's heard every word you've whispered in desperation, and He's working on your behalf right now, even if it doesn't look like it. One day, you'll see the full picture, and it will all make sense. You'll thank Him for the delays, for the silence, for the pain, because all of it led you to His purpose. And as this message comes to a close, I want you to remember this. You are never forgotten, never unseen, never unloved. The same God who created the stars knows your name, knows your story, and knows your heart. He's not finished with you. What He started, He will complete. So lift your eyes, dry your tears, and trust that something good is coming. God is faithful. He always has been, and He always will be. Your story is still being written, and the best part is yet to come.